Hello everybody, welcome back. I've just realised I've started making a whole video and it wasn't recording properly, so let's start this one again. So at least I've got a nice rehearsal for it. So Happy New Year to begin with. Happy New Year to everybody. Let's get started. Right, so basically, I was basically just saying that today doesn't look very exciting. The short-term time frames are down. From anything from a 1 hourly to a 2 hourly to a 4 hourly, even to a daily. The 3-day actually looks reasonable, and the weekly also looks good. So we've got divergence across all momentum. Same thing with the weekly, divergence across all momentum. So there is, if anything, the next big move to me appears to be one of a move up. And look, we're in a descending triangle after we've broken out of the main bear market structure. So I'll be looking for a move up to the top of this triangle. And nothing more than that to start with. That would be any kind of target. And the question would be, well, where's it going to launch from? There's a lot of resistance around there. We've got the 50 exponential on the 3-day. We've also got the 200 simple moving average is more or less there on the daily, and it's pointing to 19,000 area. So we're talking sort of, it depends on when it wants to do it, but into the $19,000 area if we do it within the next couple of weeks or so, which is definitely possible because we're talking 3 daily, we're talking weekly here. We're not talking short-term timeframes because the short-term timeframes, including the daily, all point to further downside. And that might just be scraping these previous lows. It might be scraping the low that we're on right now, around 16,500. Could drip down a little further to 16,000 flat. We might print a new low, 14,500. We've had that on our charts for a little while. Now, when it comes to stocks and indices and all that stuff, forex and things, I've made my position pretty clear. I'm looking for a little bit more upside on the euro, which will correlate to a little bit more downside on the dollar. But I am looking for a dollar bounce at some point, and that would be, for me this time round, mostly based around the euro scenario. So I'm looking for maybe one new high on the euro. Maybe 108, and then we pull back from there, and then that basically brings a bit of downside across all boards. And then when that's finally finished, so long as the euro is above 103, 102, 103, that's where we get the everything bounce 3.0, and that's where we make the next big swing. That's what we've been doing this year, and it's been a tricky year last year. It's been definitely a very tricky year to trade, but it has been reasonably successful. I posted, I got an annual report for my derivatives account for stocks, which was 85% success rate. So I'm quite pleased with that. But if I had an annual breakdown in the same way for crypto, it's unlikely to be the same because crypto is not responded well to this overall environment, which is one of taking the liquidity out of the system, rate hikes, CPIs, and geopolitical events, and then obviously internal affairs like FTX. So it's suffered hard, but it still hasn't suffered as hard as the previous bear market, which leads me to think that at some point over the next few months or so, we do finally come down further to complete that retracement of within the 80% range, which is what we've always done in the previous bear markets. Always gone into the 80% range from top to bottom. So maybe we're not there yet, maybe we are. But the correlation to traditional markets was broken for the worse. So it did break down while everything else moved up. We were able to trade the traditional markets quite successfully and then use crypto as almost like an extra buffer. The everything bounce from the original one worked out extremely well. Everything bounce 2.0 was working out quite well until FTX decided to pull the plug on crypto. So it's a tricky chart to trade at the moment. All altcoins are extremely tricky to trade. And not to say they can't respond to things. Because we can see that algos working from the live stream that we did on Friday highlighted that as one of the better charts that we saw, that we looked at for a bounce, and it's already met the first target. So certain things can still work, but the whole scenario, the whole market is still very, very vulnerable. And even when this bear market finally ends, it's going to remain vulnerable because that's what the last bull market was like. The last bull market started with a bang and then basically did a sideways movement for about a year and a half. And I would be thinking that the same sort of thing happens here because for the most part, charts are great, fundamentals are good, but we need sentiment to increase. And when sentiment is lacking, people are just not buying, and that's exactly what the last bull market was like. Now people think that crypto is up only, but it's really not. We spent basically over 2 years going all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down. And then obviously when everybody gets involved, it goes all the way up, makes us loads and loads of cash because we're the ones who trade this market. They're the ones who come in at the last minute. You know, the retailers are often the ones who pop the bubble. But yeah, it doesn't go up only. It doesn't. It goes sideways, mostly sideways. And it's a frustrating scenario, really, to try and trade these if you don't, you know, pull the plug on your trades, you know, whether that's for profit or for loss. So moving into this next year, I'm highlighting bots as one of my preferences. Once we find what would be a reasonable low, I'm going to be going a bit hard on the bots because, you know, if anyone was around to watch me do the bots in 2020, altcoins were absolutely wrecked, completely wrecked. Bitcoin dominance was at an all-time high or approaching an all-time high, and that's where I was doing the bot trading throughout this period. Where were we? Around this period, it was around October to around December, and that's where I was doing my bot trading as Bitcoin. And obviously the best thing to have done was to have been hodling in Bitcoin, but if you wanted to do bots, I ended up turning 1,000 into some serious cash while people were sleeping on alts, accumulating the altcoins. It was basically all BNB, accumulating that BNB until the next big alt season. So if I can do that, which is, I'm going to say it's going to be part of the focus of this whole year. I don't expect anything incredibly amazing. We will be looking for some serious accumulation of probably KCS has been my plan. Not that I'm highlighting that as the best thing you've ever seen in the world. It's definitely not, but it will make a good trading pair, I would say, and it's available to trade, you know, across a lot of other pairs. Thinking about the Bitcoin dominance chart now, though, I have still highlighted this area as soon as we came up to test it as an area of potential resistance and rejection. Now, you know, there's conflicting information here. We've got a pump signal which has not yet pumped. We also have extremely hot money flow index and bearish divergence on the RSI. So it suggests that we have reached a temporary peak, very temporary peak, and there could be some some decent relief rallies for alts. But I have been saying that since we've been at this area. We've not yet seen it. In fact, we've seen more or less the opposite of that. But the setup is still the same. It's not the greatest. It's not the most clear setup. It's not like the one we did over here where we got basically a perfect entry point on all the altcoins and made some serious cash. This one is going to, if anything, it's going to be a miniature one of these. Maybe similar to this. Maybe not even that good because the chart is definitely stronger than it was over here. So we can still make small swings. We can still, you know, double our money here and there, which again, you know, it's pretty sweet, you know, to be able to double your money so quickly, and that's why we like crypto. But it's not going to be an up-only chart for a while. In fact, it's probably going to be a sideways chart for quite a long period of time, maybe a couple of years, and that's perfectly fine because we can still trade it spot. We can still trade derivatives if you're comfortable. We can certainly apply bots to this, which is probably the best thing you could think about doing, whether that's using Bitsgap or maybe even Pionex and setting up some infinity bots on Pionex. Either way, there's strategies that you can apply to a sideways market where you can actually do pretty well out of it, but it's not a magic button. Yeah, bots aren't a magic button. So if you want to start all that, like I say, I mean, Bitsgap had just finished their promotion, so you would have been able to get a 30% off. So that's done now. That we're in the new year, so you have to pay full price for that. But there is Pionex if you want to do bots for free. The volume's lower, the choices are less, but they do have a lot of bots on there. All the links are in my description. And if you want to join the Patreon as well, the link's in the description. Same thing with Discord and Telegram. If you're interested in sticking with this market, especially as we scrape these lows and you know, and plan for the next bull market, never mind the next bull run, which will certainly be years down the line. Bull markets can be sideways, but they can also be pretty profitable. But you do have to pay attention to the charts and kind of learn how to trade, really, because this is going to be a trader's environment rather than any kind of hodling and expecting immediate gratification. Buy, hold, stake is still a decent strategy, but I think trading or trying to learn to trade or getting your head around trading is probably going to, this is the time to do it. This will be the time to really think about it. You don't have to put skin in the game, but at least try and understand what it is that you're looking at. So it gives you a better idea of how to take profit, because we're going to have to start thinking about that sort of thing. If we are going to go into a new bull market, we are going to get decent runs, but we are going to have to take profit on those runs. It's not going to be like 2021 where you could basically buy anything and just live it, live the crypto dream. Same thing with stocks. And stocks, again, haven't quite found their lows. There's a good chance that we've already printed the bear market bottom for things like S&P, maybe Nasdaq, certain stocks, but there's also a chance that something else creeps around the corner like it did last year. Yeah, we had Omicron to start with, then we had Russia Ukraine. What the hell is going to happen this year? We just don't know. And I think that is part of why the bear market has been such a long drawn out process for traditional markets, because it's like a broken record. CPI, rubbish. Rate hikes, 75. Maybe we start to tail off a little bit now with 50 basis points or maybe less. But until we start to see inflation actually down, that's it. And I don't think, honestly, I really don't think the Fed's going to lower rates. Why would they? The Fed having rates of 5 to 6% or whatever it is that their target is going to be by the end of this year. That's their superpower, isn't it? For the next time there's a crisis, lower rates, stimulate the economy. That's their only real tool, and they're basically recharging that tool right now. So I wouldn't expect liquidity to come piling into the system unless, of course, there's another catastrophic event like a pandemic. Anyway, I've told you all, many times about my theory about looking at the euro, and that'll be the next. That's the way to help try and determine the next major big swing. Everything bounced 3.0. It's definitely not going to happen yet. I think we see some more downside in the short term. Don't know how dramatic it'll be, but more downside in the short term is most likely. And it's at that point then when we can decide whether or not we're going to take part in an everything bounce 3.0. And then we also have to think about, is Bitcoin going to be taken with that, or is it going to be left out like it was last time? Anyway, like I say, there's nothing much more to say. It's a boring day. There's nothing to do. Let's not trade. It's a Sunday. It's also first day of the year. So probably if there was ever a day where you don't really want to trade, I'd say today is going to be that day. Either way, I hope you have a nice day and Happy New Year. And I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Oh yeah, and by the way, like and comment on this video because it helps me a lot. There's a lot of competitors out there that just say anything to attract people to their videos and just say anything to sound popular, and people love to like that sort of stuff because it resonates with their dream. But dream and reality is different, and I tried to sell reality here, and people don't like it. Reality is a bitter pill sometimes, but it's the only pill we got. Right, thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Take it easy.